Hi guys, it's Shandia from the Red Fairy Project. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today we are talking about love and the mistakes that we make sometimes, the foolish mistakes that we make. And I'm being very transparent and honest. I'm talking about the mistakes that I made in some romantic relationships. I'm not going to divulge if it's in my current relationship or in past ones, but they are definitely big lessons learned for me. So if you're interested in finding out, stay tuned. If you're on my YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below. That way you'll make sure that you're alerted next time I have a video going out. If you're on redfairyproject.com, make sure that you sign up for the weekly newsletter if you haven't done so yet. I've included a link below as well. So it's the best way for you to make sure that you don't miss out on any content. I push a new video out every Sunday. It's your perfect dose of inspiration to start the week on the right foot. So let's get started. Mistake number one is trying to change the other person. And that is a mistake that I think many of us make. For some reason, I feel like maybe it's more women than men, I could be wrong, that make this mistake, but trying to change the other person, recipe for disaster. I mean, if you think about it for a second, when you feel like somebody's trying to change you, like they don't accept you the way you are, do you really feel like changing, or do you feel like maybe you get on the defensive, and usually we're not very receptive to changing in that kind of atmosphere? So the best way I find to go about it, like, because we all have like strengths and weaknesses, right? And maybe there is something that your partner needs to work on, but there's probably something that you need to work on as well. I find that the best approach really is to give them the space to do their thing. And let's say, for example, so I'm very health focused. I don't think I could be with somebody that's really not health focused, but let's say my partner, let's say like he didn't eat that healthy or something like that. Lead by example, do your own thing, like really stay in your own lane, and you'll see with time, sometimes, if you get great results from what you're doing, and you're feeling great, and you're looking great, and you're just letting the other person be, quite often the other person will be like intrigued by, oh, how come she's looking so good and feeling so good, and maybe I should try that, especially, you know, if you're living with your romantic partner and you see that person every day. There is a chance that the other person will maybe want to try this thing or kind of like modify their habit, but don't do it in like in a manipulative way. Manipulative. I can't say that word. Manipulative way. De manière manipulative. Don't do it to manipulate the other person. Or like, don't do it with a hidden agenda. Just do it because you just want to stay in your own lane and do your own thing, and let the other person do their own thing as well. So yeah, just try to change the other person. I've just seen that so many times. I made the mistake several times myself. As I got older, fortunately, I think it's still something that's kind of ingrained in us, but I know better now, and I know not to try to do that, and I would not want the other person to do that with me. As I said, that's why I feel it's like more women sometimes than men, because I don't remember many boyfriends trying to change me, but I remember me trying to change them. So that's number one. Mistake number two is forcing the other person to go at your own speed, or demanding that the other person go at your own speed. And what I'm talking about in particular is from a kind of emotional point of view, and if you want me to be even more specific, like the I love you. That is such a big thing in a relationship, and everybody moves at a different pace when it comes to that, like to their feelings developing, to love developing, and it's such a precious thing that you don't want to rush the other person, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's the feeling like make the other person feel like they're going way too fast. Obviously, it's something you have to like discuss openly, but if I can be honest, like for me, I'm somebody that I'm very passionate, and like my feelings can evolve or develop quite quickly, and I'm kind of like quite confident, and I know how I feel about the other person, and I tend to verbalize it, and maybe the other person doesn't move at the same speed. And in the past, that would make me really upset, and I would take it personally, and I created kind of a lot of drama in my head because of that. And with time I realized like it was kind of selfish to look at it from that point of view. Now I realize like, look, this person, everybody is different, right? And you really have to be respectful of that, of like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm on like the express train to, you know, Loverville, but maybe you're taking a stroll out in the countryside somewhere and you're just taking a little more time. Now, obviously it can be difficult, right? Because we feel very vulnerable. And we're maybe afraid that the other person won't develop any feelings for us, but there's not really any point going down that road, the road of fear and all that. Like, you really have to give it a chance. Like, for me, what I think about now when I look back is I could have really ruined things if I had really verbalized how much I was freaking out about the fact that I was maybe moving ahead a little faster when it came to my feelings and all that, and the other person, not that nothing was happening, but like especially like the I love you and stuff like that. So I'm thankful that I kind of kept some of those thoughts and fears and all that to myself. And then that I really did decide to respect the speed at which the other person was going. So, and I feel so much like confiding like more details of this, but I'm trying to be respectful of the other people involved in the relationship. So, anyways. So the third mistake that I've made in the past is losing myself in the relationship. And in French, we say like amour fusionnel, like fusionner avec quelqu'un. So like you just like merge into like one entity. And I feel like that is something that maybe happens when we're younger. I know it's something I tended to do when I was younger, but it's really dangerous for the relationship because the person fell in love with you or is falling in love with you because, you know, you're your own person, right? And you have hobbies and you have, you know, skills and strengths, and you're really your own person, and that's what the other person really loves. And so when you start pushing all that aside, forgetting about these things and maybe not doing some of the activities that you used to do, then you're losing some of that appeal, some of that independence, and it puts a lot of pressure on the other person because you're basically making them like one of your only sources of happiness. And I've learned with experience that that's a very unhealthy thing. And first of all, if ever the relationship doesn't work, then, and you always have that fear in your mind, oh my gosh, like if it doesn't work, what am I going to do? Like my life is going to be over. As opposed to now, the way I look at it is like I have different sources of happiness in my life, and my romantic relationship is one source. And if ever it ended, yes, I mean, I would be heartbroken, but I'm going to be the same person and I'll be able to move on. And it creates a real unbalance. And I'm all about balance, and I think balance is really important to the health of a relationship. So you want to keep that balance, and you want to keep that that independence. And it's sexy to the other person when they see that you're doing your thing and all that, and you know, you're not constantly together, and you're not relying on them. Like, I'm repeating myself, but not relying on the other person as your only source of happiness, because you basically pushed everything aside. Like, I've seen people push their girlfriends aside, like all their friends, and then oops, the relationship breaks off, and then now they're turning to their friends to be consoled. Like, that's kind of unfair. So keeping that balance and not losing yourself and just like becoming like one entity in the relationship, I would say is really key to the success and the health of the relationship. So the fourth mistake, when I think about it, I smile, I feel like laughing, although it's not really that funny. It's creating unnecessary drama. And man, can we be good at that sometimes. And once again, us ladies are really good at that sometimes. Anyways, I'm not going to generalize. I can say that I can be very good at that. And in the past, I've been especially in the beginning of the relationship, when we feel so vulnerable and we're maybe not that confident as to where the relationship is going. I can say that, oh my God, I've created a lot of drama in my head. Now, thankfully, I mean, sometimes it can be hard to like fight those feelings, right? And I'm not saying to like repress your emotions. I'm saying to be careful at maybe how much you express them to your romantic partner, whether it's the beginning of the relationship or you've been together for many years, because it can be damaging. I have to say, if I had verbalized all the drama that was going on in my head at the time, and I'm going to just say it with my current boyfriend, I think he would have run for the hills. Like, seriously, like, you know, interpreting text messages and emails, and like at the time at which he would call me, and all sorts of crazy things. And fortunately, what I did is I redirected that drama, and I would speak to like a girlfriend or like one of my parents or something like that, and they would often like talk me off the ledge and say, look, you're interpreting, you're assuming a lot of things, and maybe you need to just like chill out a little bit and just see like the real reason why either he didn't call or whatever. Like, it wasn't necessarily always stuff like that. It could just be like me just being dramatic about a lot of like silly details. So I'm thankful that I didn't fall into the trap of really getting caught up in that drama and then involving my partner in that. Now, it's not to say like if there's a discussion that needs to be had about something, that I am all for that, but you do it you try to do it in kind of a non-emotional way. You kind of wait till you calm down, and then you have this conversation, and obviously not like accusing the other person of something. And obviously there's like, that could be a whole other video of like how to communicate in a productive and healthy and positive way in a relationship. But anyways, I'm not a relationship expert. I can just say what I've experienced and what has worked and not worked for me. So let's try to avoid the drama or cut down on the drama, and usually the relationship will be better for it. So I wish you a lovely Valentine's Day filled with love, whether that's a romantic partner, love for yourself, love with your BFF, with family, whatever it is. All that matters is that we have lots and lots of love in our life. And yeah, take these tips. I would actually love it if you would share maybe some of your mistakes so that I'm not like out here on my own talking about all the foolish things that I did. So go ahead, like in the comments below, share away. Maybe share like your biggest mistake, or maybe your biggest lesson learned in love. Or if maybe some of the things that I talked about, if you can relate to that, let me know. I love getting your feedback. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter if you're on redfairyproject.com. There's a link below. If you're on my YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe, clicking the button below. And I will see you next week. Love you guys. Bye.